Hello everybody, this is section 5.3 and we're talking about multiplication of polynomials. So in this section we're going to go through a few different versions of multiplying polynomials, just doing some basic direct multiplication of polynomials. And to recall this, we're going to have to recall two things. We did some rules for dealing with exponents in section 5.2. So recall that we will definitely have to use those here. The rules I'm talking about that we discussed in section 5.2 include our addition rule, which says that if we take a base raised to a power m times that same base raised to a power n, we just simply add the exponent. So we add exponents m plus n using this rule right here whenever we have that situation. That will be an important one for us. The other rule that we have to remember for this section is the distributive property. And in the distributive property, if you recall, the rule was that if we have a number multiplied by values inside of the parentheses, in addition or subtraction here, then it is the case that we multiply a times both numbers within the parenthesis. We distribute multiplication over addition or subtraction. So let's see how this works. Let's talk about this one. We've got a monomial, negative 4a, times a polynomial in this first example, 6a minus 5. Well, negative 4a times 6a, what we're going to do is we're going to take the entire quantity here. Let me change my pen color since it's the rule part. We're going to take negative 4a and we're going to distribute that to both terms inside the parenthesis by this distributive property. So what that means, visually, when I write this out, I can show this. You don't have to write this every single time, but here's the way we're going to think about it. We're going to take negative 4a, and we're going to multiply it by our first term, 6a. There's a subtraction sign here, so I'm going to just keep my subtraction sign. But remember, we're going to be multiplying this term by negative 4a as well. So we're going to take negative 4a times 5 in this case. And when we multiply across, let's see what happens. Within each term, we're going to take negative 4a times 6a. Well, negative 4 times 6 gives us negative 24. And of course, a times a is an example of this rule where we would add the exponents possibly and think of this as a squared. In the next term, we're going to be getting a negative times a positive. So that's going to be plus. So we're going to get an addition now. And we're going to take 4 times a times 5. Well, that's 20a as the result. So our reduced expression right here after multiplication would be negative 24a squared plus 20a. Let's take a look at this next one right here. It looks a little bit more complicated, but we're essentially doing exactly the same thing. We're taking a monomial in front of a parenthesis, and even though there's 3 terms, the distributive property works exactly the same way. The only difference is that whatever our monomial is here, it's going to be distributed to 1, 2, 3 terms altogether. So let's just run through the steps right here. We would be taking 3x squared y, and we would be multiplying this by 5x squared plus. I'm going to keep my plus sign here. I'm going to take 3x squared y again. So we'll take 3x squared y. And we're going to multiply that by 4 times x times y this time. Minus, I'm going to keep my subtraction sign the same right here. And I'm going to multiply 3x squared y again times positive, we're just going to keep the 2 right there. We don't need an extra negative. We've just got the subtraction sign, 2y squared. Okay, now this one has a lot of these monomial type of multiplications that we were doing in the last section. So if you remember, we would take 3 times 5 to give us 15. We're taking x squared times x squared, so we add our exponents right here to get x to the 4th. And since there is no y factor in this first term anywhere else, we just write y here. Now we're going to add 3x squared y times 4xy. Well, 3 times 4, that's easy. That's 12. But x squared multiplied by x we take x squared times x to the first, we get x to the third. And y times y is going to give us y squared here. For the last term, we're going to carry that subtraction sign. There are no other negative signs, so that stays subtraction. We're going to take 3 times 2 to get 6. X squared is the only x factor anywhere in these two factors, so we're just going to write x squared. And we would take y times y squared, so that's going to give us y cubed. So this is our multiplied result in this case. There's a few problems here at the bottom. If you want to pause and write these down and try them out yourself, I highly advise this. I'll show you the answers in the next video. Good luck.